Hello everybody, welcome back as ever to Various Oddities Showcase, where I show off all of the things that have been getting tinkered with and set up and put in place for the next version. Today, as it has been quite a while and I've done quite a bit of work, we're going to be talking a little bit about the pact system. And the pact system is a system by which players can gain access to significant powers through a sort of programmable quest line kind of idea. And here's how it goes. Every world has several unique mobs known as patrons. These are largely unkillable, and they have substantial offensive power, but they're generally not really hostile. They're not necessarily going to be things that come along and actively try to murder you. They want you to interact with them, and they're very specific, highly detailed and modeled kind of NPCs that you can use for various other things if you want to steal their models, for instance, or using custom NPCs and the like, but for the most part they're meant to be just sitting there. There's one of them, they can't be destroyed save more or less by an admin, but they are nonetheless able to offer you some quite interesting stuff. So here we have one known as the Witch. This is a sort of shapeshifter, and you'll find these in the Feywild dimension, and you might have noticed already that if we look away, they will occasionally change how they are appearing. But if we interact with the Witch, give it a few seconds, and there you are. There's your your usual kind of form, a very familiar one for fans of my channel. If we interact with the Witch, then they will give us a deviled egg. Now, this deviled egg is a particular kind of pact item. It is bound to the player it was given to, and only they can use it. And if we actually consume it, then we will get this currently heavily in progress, work in progress screen, which asks if we want to confirm actually starting the pact. If we decline, we still get our deviled egg back, so we can choose it later. And you've changed to that one now, huh? Okay, yeah. This is what the Witch does, and this is a client-side feature, so everybody sees something different. But if we actually say that we want to confirm that, we will lose our deviled egg, and we will now have begun the Witch's pact. And each player can have only one pact at a time. Starting a new pact will destroy, undo any existing one. You can also attempt to start a pact you already have, but it will have no actual effect. Your pact won't just restart, though you'll still, in this case, consume the egg. In the case of the Witch, you get the deviled egg. You can get one of those per hour or once per time the Witch is loaded, because it doesn't store that data very necessarily. But again, the eggs are always bound to you, and consuming one will not restart your pact. This is a very important thing to bear in mind for later. Now, pacts are structured in tiers, and they're configurable using data packs and NPT data, that kind of thing. Not tremendously unlike advancements as well. They even allow for adding brand new custom packs, not just the use of the ones included as part of the mod. From there, each tier is achieved by performing certain specific actions, similar to the way that advancements are unlocked. The best comparison that I have for this is Witchery, with the progression of vampirism and lycanthropy. You would have to go through certain things, perform certain actions, tame certain things, howl to the night sky, that kind of thing. That is exactly the kind of thing that you're going to be thinking of when you're trying to advance your pact. And each tier also affords certain boons. Advancements can have commands tied to them, but pacts are going to have specific benefits, and these can be things such as permanent status effects, or special enchanted items, or most commonly, in fact, various special abilities or magical spells, that kind of thing. Invocations, these would be described as, if you're particularly familiar with Dungeons & Dragons. Each pact may also have what is known as an endgame event, which is triggered when any player reaches its final tier. Now, these are not restricted to one per world, so if you have a multiplayer server and everybody goes for a different patron, you can unlock all of the endgame events at once, and this was named before Avengers came out, so shut up. But these are intended to be widespread consequences for empowering your patron. The Witch, for instance, is intended to be a deceitful archfey that was sealed away a long, long, long time ago for probably quite reasonable explanations, and completing their pact will release them. And the way that happens is when you are progressing your warlock through the witch's pact, you will be marked at every single location where your pact has progressed. When you complete it and that endgame event is triggered, rifts to the Feywild open, and out come all of the changeling hive structures that we've previously shown. But yeah, so from those rifts appear the changelings, and they start building their hives. They are shape-shifting fey creatures that can hide amongst the passive mobs and build their large hives. So here, for instance, we have a selection of mobs that all seem perfectly fine. We could shear the sheep, we can ride the horses, we can milk the cows, we can get eggs from the chickens. But if we happen to have the high level of affiliation with the changeling faction, as a warlock of the witch most probably will, we will see that all is not quite as it seems. These, of course, are changelings, and their textures are definitely not finished as yet, but they're more or less fine. They're quite nice folks. As I say, you can even we even have villager changelings, and you will absolutely be able to trade with them, and they'll just be like normal villagers. They shouldn't disrupt any function whatsoever. But if instead, if you leave them alone, they will gather items, they will ritually sacrifice those to increase the size of the rift at the heart of their hives, and then they'll get bigger. So, consequently, the hives will just gradually, progressively get larger and engulf more and more of the world, which might include your home base, depending on where you progressed your pact. That's the kind of thing that happens. Now, these are widespread consequences. These aren't things that you can just sort of easily get rid of. Abandoning your pact once an endgame event has begun will not stop it from continuing. So, for instance, if you started a pact with the Kirin, for instance, which is a rival archfey for the witch, any open Feywild rifts related to your pact will not instantaneously shut. You will have to go in and actually seal them yourself, and then maybe get rid of the changelings. Sealing a rift will cause the hive to collapse, but it won't get rid of the actual changelings. So they'll just be still around doing their thing, finding their way into your mob farms most likely. So that's a thing you'll have to actually be considerate of. So a multiplayer server probably wants to be a bit careful with these. That said, as I have noticed, these are configurable, so you are able to change or even remove entirely what the endgame event of a given pact is. Not all pacts will have such a heavy, dramatic kind of endgame event as that one, but it will be, specific and different, and you'll be able to set them to be different things, and they won't necessarily be bound to specific patrons and as such. As an additional note, the deviled egg that you can get from the witch over here is, again, one example of a patron pact starting kind of item, and you can use MBT data to bind it to point to a different pact than the one the witch gives you. For instance, it just defaults to that of the witch. But that is about all that I have to show you today. I suppose if you haven't been watching Twitter, we do also have the brand new, fancy hats here. These are very easy to make, and they are dyeable and enchantable and all sorts. They're basically just leather helmets that look really fancy. Because I tried initially putting the witch in just an actual vanilla witch's hat, and it turned out to not look that great. So, we actually made proper hats, and they look pretty nice, honestly. I kinda like them. So, yeah. So, that is all I have. Hope you've all enjoyed, and I'll catch you all as ever next time. This video brought to you by my wonderful patrons at patreon.com/lying.